And here's the thing. So a clergyman from a prominent Church of England parish yesterday condemned the commemoration of Captain Sir Tom Moore as a cult of white British nationalism. I'm struggling to believe I'm even using these words. This is the Reverend Jarel Robinson-Brown, said in his social media page, "The cult of Captain Tom is a cult of white British nationalism. I will offer prayers, but I will not be joining the national clapping." This man is a bit dangerous. This is a race-baiting fool. I think we can all need to get that out of the way to begin with. Last night, the nation clapped a war hero. We clapped an NHS hero. We clapped a centenarian. We clapped decency. This was too much, however, for Reverend Jarel. He couldn't take it anymore. The left-leaning man of the cloth was clearly hyperventilating at this. Everything he hates, all encapsulated in one simple act, namely the display of British decency. The whole thing came tumbling down on Reverend. Everything he loathes in life all collided at exactly the same time. He later, by the way, he said, I offered an unreserved apology for the insensitive timing. It's not just about your timing, mate, of the tweet, and what I said regarding the clapping for Tom. How did this man find race in this issue? 0344 499 1000. There is a type. I think I've identified this. It's a kind of an anti-British disposition. You don't have to be foreign, you don't have to be from a particular ethnicity to suffer from this condition. Lots of indigenous white lefties have this in bucket loads. It is a condition. So when dear old Rev Jarel hit the post button on his mad tweet, curiously, I can actually see how the delicate mechanics of his mind were working. Those cogwheels were turning, but something was wrong. He was getting a code red alert over there at Reverend HQ. Everything about the clapping, the wider admiration for Sir Tom was playing royal havoc with every sinew of his being. He hated this and then made some amazing leaps of misplaced judgment. His mind was in the sewer, his hippocampus had spasmed, and he began to imagine things. You know how it works. What he'd done is exactly what so many people do in these situations. He'd correlated and connected lots of different things that he finds annoying. And this story had everything in it, which is why the man discombobulated when he realised not only did we have this hero called Captain Sir Tom Moore, who'd sadly died, we were about to offer him a good old British round of applause as well. And this was too much for the Right Reverend. Everything about it, a bygone era, the war, a man with medals, an old white soldier, the knighthood, national pride. It sent the Reverend over the edge of the pulpit. The race-baiting, chapter and verse, we could say, was through the roof. His ecclesiastical reverence and the very words he preaches were out of the window faster than the landing of a plague of locusts. What happened to the good book, Reverend Jarel? That's what we want to know. You shall love your neighbour as yourself. Unless you're white and British, then you can sod off to, well, Sodom, one assumes. How did this man find race in this story? 0344 499 1000. It is just beyond the realms of extraordinary that you could look at anything about the Sir Tom Moore story and extrapolate an offensive or a racist component to it. The only way you would be able to do that would be if you invented it, if you imagined it, and then you gave it some TLC, watered it a little bit, stuck it in a tweet and sent it out for your parishioners and the wider world to have a little butcher's at. The cult of white nationalism. It hardly gets... I don't want to use the word offensive because, we don't have the right not to be offended. But, if we can find a place for that word offence, then surely it sits here rather beautifully, like the foot in the proverbial glass slipper. It just sits absolutely beautifully in that place. This is it's an imagined, it's a wholly desired belief that everything about Sir Tom Moore, the backstory, the military man, the war hero, the white soldier, the double-breasted jacket with the war medals, and then the Queen comes along with her sword of joy, dobs on his shoulders and makes him a knighthood. My goodness, the day that happened, I'd hate to have seen the history of Reverend Jarel's social media when the royal sword went onto the shoulders of Captain Tom Moore. That would have been a sight to behold had you been there. This man hates all of that stuff. You'd imagine last night at the proms, he probably spends with his head down the bowl. That's the kind of thing that would rattle Reverend Jarel. He doesn't like this stuff. So you correlate a load of things together and you decide that somewhere within this just beautiful story, the story you couldn't write about Sir Tom, you simply could not put that in a Netflix show and get away with it because it's so extraordinary what happened in the winter of his life that a man about to turn 100 raises £33 million for the NHS. He's a former war hero. He's now an NHS hero. He's now a knight. He's quintessentially British in all he stands for. This rattled Reverend Jarel to the point that he discombobulated on social media and spewed his race-baiting hatred onto Twitter. Click. He had no qualms at the time of posting this. It's a man of the cloth, for goodness sake. This is a man that preaches understanding and love thy neighbour. This is a man that says diversity is key to our success as a human race. This is a man that stands in the pulpit on a regular basis and tells the masses in front of him that the way forward is through understanding each other, through understanding differences, through encompassing the beauty that is the human condition and allowing people, whether you are black or white, rich or poor, whoever you happen to be, the way we make this world go better in the eyes of God and Jesus Christ is absolutely to come together as one. I'm getting the vibe for the preaching thing. I'm channeling Reverend Jarel. I can see him there of a Sunday, up nice and early, polishing his shoes, whacking on the old dog collar and preaching his sermon. Can you imagine Reverend Jarel down there at the church saying, "This sermon today is for everybody apart from you dodgy white folk. We don't want you round here with your funny nationalist ways, clapping for war heroes, clapping for the NHS. Who do you think you are?" He soon realised that he'd been a fool, by the way. He deleted what he'd written. And now, I notice, and thanks to many of you that pointed out, he's actually deleted his entire Twitter account. I would imagine they came for him. That's not a good look either. You're not going to battle or counter hatred or indignation or annoyance by employing the very same technique that you're attacking. So we don't want any of that. But I think we should expose his words and what he said and what it means. Because you know what? Reverend Jarel is not alone. He's not the only person that has that. You know, it's a kind of, I imagine the Boy Jones and Pop-Up Polly have a bit of that. Oh, I don't know what it is. I just don't like all this kind of flags and bloody soldiers and moustaches and white people. Who do they think they are? Well, it's like most people, frankly. Oh, right, okay. Well, I don't like them. Fine. And all that it stands for, because anyone who happens to be old and white and served in the military and got themselves a knighthood must be some mad old white nationalist dodgepot. That seems to be the message that comes out there. They just don't. It's a contingent of twisted left-wing thinking. It's really dangerous. It's as bad. The very racism that they might rightly attack, this is as bad. Race baiting, stirring it up, making up arguments is as bad as. How it's not an arrestable offence, I have no idea. I wouldn't just be arresting Piers Corbyn right now. I might knock on the door of the Reverend Jarel and have a word, frankly. How did he find racism in this story?